Just let me know when we're ready. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. We need to consider allowing remote participation for Mayor Barbara. Can I have a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We need to adopt the agenda. Can I have a motion?
Got two changes that Bob has there in front of him.
Okay, Bob.
Can you read those two changes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought you were referring to this, Bob. All right. So two things on the agenda to add. One is L7, consider appointment of Bill Bailey as interim manager effective 6/8/2026 and authorize the current manager to execute an agreement consistent with his proposal. Also, under new business, we have 0.4 discussion of maintenance of Tom Short Road roundabouts and medians. The sponsors of this is Angel and Christina.
Okay. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Adoption of the previous minutes. Can I have a motion for that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we are going to go into recess into closed session per NCGS 143-318.11A 3 to consult with an attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege and to give instructions re Chris Victoria Comiskey, the Village of Marvin, Kim Vandenberg, 25CV0004445-890, and 3:2025-CV-00087-FDW-DCK. Can I have a motion?
I think there may have been a discussion of a motion to recuse prior to this, if somebody was going to make that.
How do we even know what we're recusing?
They'd have to state the reasons why.
I can't hear y'all. Make sure your mic's
I'd say they'd have to state the reasons why. But I had some discussions with the council member saying he may seek to recuse himself. And if he or she has changed their mind, then we can move on.
Well, I'm going to make a motion, just if I may. I've had discussions with I'm on. I've had discussions with council about this for quite some time, and I just want to make it formal, and so I will move that I be excused from any further discussion or voting on the proposed settlement in the Comiskey versus Village of Marvin matter to avoid any appearance of impropriety or a conflict of interest. And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm a member of the Marvin Creek Homeowners Association and may have a remote financial interest in the results of the settlement, including the return of the easement. I don't believe that it merits recusal in and of itself, but I do want to bring it to the attention of the council. As I mentioned, I've spoken with council about this, and he didn't believe, and I'll let him speak for himself, but I believe he still does not believe that it justifies a recusal and excuses the duty to vote. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I believe we talked about that one in closed session.
Yep.
But if y'all need a recap, y'all could ask me too, but that we talked about it as attorney-client privilege. But under 160A-75, no member shall be excused from voting unless they have a direct financial interest. And then it also states two other statutes. You can also be excused under NCGS 12-234, and that is an agreement or a contract involving your financial interest. That one, the member shall recuse themselves. So there's no request to the board. They must recuse themselves if they're going to get a financial benefit. And also under the zoning statutes, 160D, 109, and that's when you're going to have a quasi-judicial or you have a direct financial interest in a zoning matter. That one, the person shall recuse. And this one is the board's decision of whether you believe that it raises to the level that it will impact the council members vote. And sometimes it's good if you don't know, bring it out there. Let this board vote on it. And I do think that Mr. X stated he didn't believe that it would impact his decision, and that may impact y'all's decision. But I think he's doing this to get it out there for the record, but y'all can have further discussion.
Yeah, I've encountered these before on some of the different boards that I've served on and so forth, and I think if, he were to qualify for recusal, it would really only be by the first item. And, one of the key things that I've always seen in terms of recusals in the first instance is the specific language about a direct financial benefit. And as that has been explained to me in the past, a direct financial benefit is that your individual property or your family members or something like that would be getting an advantage. When you're talking about the situation that Tom is, specifically as a member of an HOA, that may have some financial implications too or not. That's a much broader group than anything that would say that it would be a direct financial benefit. And I would note that, one of the strongest things in terms of North Carolina government law is that duty to vote. Because, we have been elected and placed here by the residents with their trust to make the decisions on difficult subjects, and that's why they make the recusal standards so tight.
Okay, so do we want to vote on this? Okay, so all in favor of recusing Tom from the closed session, vote? All opposed?
Nay?
Nay?
Nay.
Okay.
So you're still involved?
While we're talking about recusals, I spoke to Spencer, and I've also spoke to Alex.
Is your mic on?
It is.
Okay.
And I'd like to recuse myself from the vote in closed session, and the reason for that is simply I have been added to the lawsuit, and there is financial implications for me, and it puts me in a very awkward position as to vote. So I'm asking the council to support my position.
I don't think you've been added to the lawsuit. There was a claim that you would be, or there would be a claim against you individually.
I think that's an important distinction and one that I'd have questions for you, Chaplain, because at this point, to my understanding, that the inclusion of Bob has simply been a letter we have received that I'm not even sure came directly from their attorneys.
That is true, and the factors that you look at are the number of people affected. Well, that's one that is pretty direct versus 1 out of 370 houses in a neighborhood, a little bit different. The extent of the financial interest, I think this one is a little bit different there because if you sued individually, it's a lot greater than 1 out of 360 or 70 homes. And then the likelihood of the financial impact will occur, that one's kind of hard because we don't really know what this is about. And that's why it's up for this council, and we can, all we have is there'll be a claim. That makes it harder. I do think that Mr. Nunnenkamp was proper to bring it up, just like Mr. Eck, and let this council make a decision. That one, the second one's, there's definitely more there, but the likelihood, I don't know, that one's hard to evaluate for me, and y'all can discuss that amongst yourselves.
I guess.
And if we need to go in closed session for this, we'd have to do a separate motion.
Well, I have a question also about this. Like, while I understand and sympathize and agree with
Yeah,
your
but any
position,
decision does have to be made. One thing is clear, it has to be made in open session.
Okay.
The reasons in your vote.
So while I agree with that, I worry about a plaintiff being able to rig a vote by threatening, right? Like, that's, I mean, if we were a jury, right, this is a felony, this is a really big deal. So,
Bob, what's your comfort level?
I've never been, was uncomfortable. I think it would be uncomfortable for anybody sitting here. So,
I mean, is that your preference, though, that we recuse you? I mean, Tom brought it up, it was a,
it's a very awkward position
It is.
for me to vote.
yeah,
I'll say that. But I'll honor whatever council wants to do.
okay.
Yeah, my feelings on it are, I think we need to be very careful here, because we have a threat, not even an actual motion that was submitted or anything like that, but just a threat, essentially via, communications to include a council member, to make them have to recuse themselves from any other decisions. And I think one of the things we've learned, unfortunately, here in Marvin over many years is that especially candidates get targets put on their back because they do not have the coverage of council people from an insurance perspective. And we've seen this before in Marvin, where lawsuits don't have to be true to be alleged or to be discussed. They're just kind of thrown out there. And if we start
Public comments,
and if public comments I think are very different than that.
but they don't have to be true. That's my point.
Correct. But I think we're talking about a whole different thing here, where you're interfering with the council's governmental responsibilities by strategically targeting specific council people for recusals. And I think that now any one of us going forward, if we were to start to think about whether it's something that's done as a council person or just as a person, that's another argument that could be made of why an individual council person shouldn't be given insurance coverage. So it's really no different than that either. And I just see us opening a huge can of worms if we start allowing individual plaintiffs that have a concern against the village, not just this case, but any other case, to start targeting, suing individual council people to make them recuse themselves from difficult votes.
And I'll just echo that. In the note that we received from the plaintiffs, it does seem like it is simply a threat of litigation. And from my standpoint, I personally don't see any cognizable claim under state or federal law that could be brought against Mr. Nunnenkamp based on what they saw so far. And I'm not the village attorney, and even if it may sound like kind of a bunch of lawyers speak, but I just don't see any potential claim at this point. And there hasn't been a draft complaint provided to us either. So it's, in my mind, it's nothing more than a threat. And it is, the argument could be made that it is just simply designed to keep Mr. Nunnenkamp from voting on the settlement. And I don't know that to be the case, but it does have the hallmarks of that.
And I just add one more thing, which is, Bob, I entirely empathize with your situation here. And this is unfortunately something that we've essentially seen as a legal strategy used against the village of Marvin in the past. Bob, you've experienced this yourself, and we've had other council people and council candidates that, have had to address this situation before. But so I understand where you're at, Bob, but respectfully, I think we continue to have to make votes based upon what's best for the entire council.
Okay, so can I have a motion? Or do I need a motion?
So is a motion to recuse Councilmember Nunnenkamp?
Right. Okay,
Someone make a motion? Bob can make the motion.
You can make the motion and vote against it, which,
I'd like to make a motion to recuse Bob Nunnenkamp in the issue under discussion.
All in favor? All opposed?
Aye. Nay.
Okay.
and now we're back to our original motion because those were interceding motions, which gain priority.
So, motion on the table to recess into closed session. Do I have to read it again?
I would prefer so, yes.
I had a feeling. Per NCGS 143-318.11A3, to consult with an attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege and to give instructions regarding Chris/Victoria Comiskey v. Village of Marvin / Kim Vandenberg, 25 CV 000445-890 and 3:25 CV 00087 FDW DCK.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Austin, do we need our laptops?
Let me know when you're ready, Austin. Are we ready?
Yes, Jerry should be back anytime.
Do we want to wait for him?
It's up to you. You can go ahead and go. Sorry.
Okay,
Just make sure your mics are on.
okay. So do I need to read this?
So you're going to reconvene in open session, and we're going to take a vote.
Okay,
So you're going to reconvene, do the pledge, and then go to presentations. It'll just be centralized first.
okay. All right. So, welcome back, everybody. We're going to reconvene in open session, and we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mayor Pro Tem, you do need to report on closed session before you continue.
Okay. We received legal advice, and council has approved an offer of compromise from the village to settle the Comiskey lawsuits. Okay. Presentations. Central Line Manager.
And Geraldine, I'm getting your presentation pulled up.
The mic, there I am. Good evening, I'll start over. I am Geraldine Gardner. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Line Regional Council. I'm very pleased to have the Village of Marvin as members of the organization. And one of our services that we provide our members is to support them during times of executive transition. So tonight, I'm going to present to you some materials regarding our process so far to help prepare for the posting of a position for a village manager. In my presentation, I'm going to go through some process steps with you to clarify and make sure we're all on the same page regarding the process that you would like to use to select your next village manager. Also in your packet in front of you is a Word document, which is the position description, which I'll review as part of the presentation, as well as a draft brochure that we'll use to market the position. Okay? We can go to the next slide, who's ever, you can actually jump to Austin. Oh, I'd love a clicker. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go through the process that we'll use, and there'll be a couple of questions for clarification and things that we will walk through together. But essentially what we are under contract with the village to do is to define the position description, which we'll talk about today, review the salary range, prepare advertisement and marketing materials, and then post and disseminate the opportunity in collaboration with the village. So that's what we're calling phase one. We're currently in process with that right now. Phase two is to receive and screen resumes and acknowledge, send acknowledgments to applicants. We're using Central Line's HR system, so it's a fully online process. But at the end of it, we will be able to transfer all files and information to the village to be consistent and compliant with public records. In the initial screening process, we'll use the position description and criteria to vet applicants into 3 categories. So not qualified, meaning they don't meet your minimum requirements and experience for the position. Qualified, meaning they do. And exceptionally qualified, they have exceedingly high experience and maybe meet even some of your preferred requirements, which we'll go over in a second. We'll be preparing an evaluation package for the village council to look at for the qualified and the highly qualified applicants. Okay, so the next phase is the initial screening. And there's 2 choices here, which I'll go over in a second, but let me just kind of walk you through the general process. So first and foremost, you'll receive those qualified and highly qualified applicants. We will give you a scoring criteria to use to review those applications and to determine if you would like to meet with any of those applicants in a first-round interview. So essentially, there are 2 ways that you can handle this. The first option is for the full council to be involved in this process. So that means that every single one of you will receive the package of qualified and highly qualified applicants, as well as the scoring criteria and a matrix to use to do your scoring. We'll receive all of your results, we'll compile them, we'll look at the averages, and then have another meeting to share with you the results of that analysis. So the benefits are everyone's involved in the process, so you all have the opportunity to sort of vet the initial pool of candidates. On the downside, it is a little bit more time consuming because it will require more of your time to do that review, and then another meeting in closed sessions to review the initial round of applicants. So that's one option that you can consider. The second option, I don't know if it advanced. Okay. Well, you all have it in front of you, and I pretty much remember what it says. The second option is for the council to select 2 to 3 of you who would serve on a selection committee to do that initial review of applicants, kind of the first round review. You would be primarily responsible for scoring and evaluating those qualified and highly qualified applicants, and then we would still hold a meeting for you with our assistants to present the results of that evaluation to the full board, and then as a full board, you would decide who you would like to move on to the finalist stage. So the advantage to that process is that it can move a little bit quicker, fewer people to organize, and not a public meeting for you to have those initial interviews or conversations. And then you would still have full transparency and engagement of the board once you presented those results. So let me just pause there and see what strikes you as a preferred path you all would like to take.
I think it's probably easier to get 2 or 3 of us to do the initial legwork than try to get all 7 of us.
It's a path that is used. It would not be an anomaly, yes. Is that the sense of the full board? Okay. You can decide tonight who you would like to select for that, and we can immediately, or we have a little bit of time, so we can just push pause on that if you're not ready to decide tonight.
You want to pause or decide?
I think we might need a minute, obviously.
Sure. Totally understood. We have time. Okay. Let's see if this cooperates. So the next phase 4, I believe, would be, thank you, would be for that initial round of interviews. I'm sorry, let me go back one. Okay, so under this phase, if the selection panel would meet, you would interview the candidates that would be that you all vetted, and then those candidates would move into an assessment center, which is one of the optional processes steps that you guys identified you wanted to do. And just for transparency and making sure we're all on the same page, the assessment center is a process to put candidates through a battery of job-related exercises so that you can see what they do in real-life simulated situations that a manager would experience. So we would design that collectively. It typically includes a structured interview with the full council, so that would be the opportunity for every council member to hear and see and hear from the finalists. It would also include something of a mock scenario response, so that would be in the moment. It would not be prepared ahead of time, and it would be delivered for those candidates to respond. They're given the case study, and then they have a short time to prepare, and then they immediately need to prepare their response and deliver their response. So that would be done to the assessors. Assessors are typically peer managers in the region or recently retired managers, other stakeholders who frequently engage with managers. Some communities do have community members as part of their assessment processes. It's an advisory. It is not a decision-making body. So that would be up to you if that be something you would like to see. And usually the third element of an assessment is a formal presentation or case study. So we would give that to the candidates ahead of time to present. Oh, you're so kind, thank you. candidates ahead of time to present. They would give the presentation, and it would essentially be similar to a situation or a scenario that the manager might face. It could be a strategic plan implementation case study. It could be something related to the budget. It could be a personnel matter. Usually a high-level strategy type of exercise, so you can get a real sense of their decision-making ability and how they would behave and act in a simulation. So that's the assessment center. And then coming out of the assessment center, you should have enough information from your own interview plus the debrief with the assessors to convene as a board and deliberate and decide if you have your right candidate at that point. So moving from phase 4 to phase 5 would be a reference and background check as well as a formal offer. We can support that, but we'd lean on legal counsel when it comes to making the formal offer and leading the negotiations. Let me just do one more slide, and then I'll kind of open it up for questions. So in terms of a draft timeline, we've been working on the position description and marketing materials, which we'll talk about in a moment. Ideally, if we can get some good discussion and feedback tonight and over the course of this week, we would be in a position to open the start date next Monday and hold that open for an initial 30-day period, at which time we would start to screen candidates and then tee up for the selection committee that first round of interview processes. And you can see just the notional timeline here. Of course, all of this is subject to your availability, candidate availability, and scheduling. But essentially, the assessment center could be end of July, beginning of August, and hopefully by mid-August you could have an offer delivered. That's an aggressive timeline, but with those process steps, it gives it enough breathing room in the schedule. So let me pause there and just kind of see if there's any reactions to that. Is the timeline, is it too aggressive, not aggressive enough? Give me a little sense of how this resonates with you.
For me, I think it's great. Obviously, I think the quicker the better.
Quicker the better, sure.
The one question I have is a little more tactical.
Sure.
On the assessments, could you give us a feel for what types of activities are rolled into the assessment? Like it talked about mock scenarios. I'm just wondering what's that look like?
Yes. So the mock scenario would be a sizable enough task that you could give them in the moment to judge how they react quickly and strategically to a situation that's presented in front of them because they have no time to prepare, or like 10 minutes. So some good examples that we typically use for the mock scenario would be personnel related. How would they coach an employee through in a difficult situation? How they would give continuous feedback or deal with a disciplinary issue. That's really showing how their management acumen and how they lead and manage people. Another example you could give would be something related to program or project strategy. You want to go after a grant. How would they go through the process of determining what kind of grant, what project, how it aligns with your strategic plan, et cetera, et cetera. You could also give them a community engagement scenario. So we would work with the selection committee in this case to determine what types of scenarios you think would best test based on the position criteria and roles and responsibilities for the position. For the presentation, you're giving them a couple of days or up to a week to present and prepare, so you want those assignments to be a little bit more robust, a little bit more around long-term strategy and leadership acumen, maybe a little bit more related to how they would engage with other municipalities, how they would engage with the council. We've had mock assessment or mock presentations where you're actually giving them a dummy budget and they're making a budget presentation. So part of it is how they're presenting themselves, how they're engaging with you, and then how, with time, they're making strategic decisions. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
We got the chance to interview some interim managers,
Great.
4 of them. if one of those or two of those was somebody we wanted to consider, even outside of the interim manager, do they go through the same process?
Yes, you would want to be fair and consistent. Any other questions?
Just what have you typically seen as far as a pool of candidates for permanent positions versus interim? Because, you know, interim is kind of a tricky thing, and you've got kind of a finite group of folks, you know, and then a couple that, as he interested, might be interested in long-term, but do application openings for long-term tend to pull out more people than just the interim ones?
Yes, I think between the position of the community, the salary range, you'll probably get a healthy pool of applicants. You should probably expect some out-of-state applicants. We're seeing a lot more of interest from managers from outside of North Carolina. If you look at the open positions for a manager, they're kind of few and far between, and sometimes in problematic communities that can't hold a manager, to be honest with you. So this would be, I think, an attractive position statewide and probably from out-of-state candidates as well.
On the village manager description, I think we're going to want to make some edits to that. Is that
We're going to go through that in just a second. Yes. Okay. Are we good with this? So my takeaways are, I'm going to follow up with you regarding who's going to be on the selection committee, but generally speaking, you're good with the process steps and the timeline. Wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to get into the position definition. If you could refer to the Word document that you have in front of you, it's also broken out on these slides, but it might be helpful to look holistically at the full document. Okay, so there are two things that we are going to be preparing for you as part of these services. First is a brochure. It's more of a marketing piece. It's to get people excited about the position and the opportunity in Marvin. The second is the Word document that's in front of you, which is a more traditional position description. Currently, you didn't have a village manager description in your classification system, so we had to create this in order to get to a more descriptive job ad, for lack of a better term. But it's important that we review this and everyone is on the same page regarding qualifications and roles and responsibilities. So the first item that I'll draw your attention to is just a general statement of the role. That is on the slide that is in front of you, called Position Definition and Review Criteria. So the statement of the role in the summary is your general description of the purpose of a manager. And so this is consistent with good practice. It's consistent with state statute. But essentially, your manager serves as CEO of the organization. It directs and manages operations, services, and activities. It provides organizational leadership. It represents the village externally, and under your direction, implements plans, policies, and enforces municipal laws. So this is just your kind of vanilla description of what a manager does. But for clarity, I wanted to include that. The next section, which will be important for your recruitment, is regards to education and experience. I want to thank those of you who completed the form that I had sent out to get your perspectives on all these items. I did receive one response at 3 o'clock today, and I'll go back and look at it, but I wasn't able to incorporate all of those comments in this draft. In terms of required education and experience, we're looking at a bachelor's degree in public policy and public administration or related field. It is good practice to have an equivalent education option, so that is included as bullet number 2. And then at least 5 years of local government leadership experience, including a minimum of 2 years at the director level or higher. We've also included an option for nonprofit or private sector experience. So that's your required. So when we talk about screening applicants for qualified and not qualified, these are the primary characteristics that we look at. If you think 5 years of local government experience is too much, we can drop that down to 3, but I would not go any further below 3. And this would include both director level and manager level. Generally speaking, is that for required? I'm seeing some head nods. Okay, in preferred experience, so this may be what would distinguish a qualified candidate from a highly qualified candidate. We're looking at a master's degree in public administration or similar field, previous town manager experience, which is strongly preferred based on the survey results that you completed. I'm sorry, that should be previous North Carolina city and town manager experience on the slide. It should be correct in your document. So that would also be preferred. We also signaled that we're interested in candidates that have some experience in smaller municipalities as a preferred qualification. All looks good from your perspective?
Yeah, yes.
Excellent. So I'm going to move on to the knowledge, skills, and abilities. Again, this is more typical for your personnel type of documents, but we needed to put this down on paper since you didn't have it. So to briefly go through this is again high level. Managers should have a knowledge of municipal operations, and as that's described, a working knowledge of state and local laws, an ability to analyze complex issues, an ability to set clear expectations and build an effective organizational culture, as well as hold staff accountable, strong communication skills, and strong listening skills and ability to understand differing points of view. Now, you all gave me much more detail when it comes to your desired applicant, right? Those intangible qualities that you want to have, those are included, but that's for this hiring process, not for the standard position description of a manager. So this is a little bit more boilerplate, and then we're going to get to what you were really looking for in your recruitment in just a second. So I just want to make sure that that was clear. Any comments on this? Basic knowledge and skills? And I know this is a lot of information, so what I'll be suggesting for you tonight is you can take it home, digest it, and send me comments by the end of the week, just to let it kind of marinate a little bit and make sure you have time to really think it through.
I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
How common is it to have grant writing experience?
At a manager level, it's usually something you'll see in the resume, not necessarily a requirement of the position itself. We've included it here as a desired specialized knowledge as opposed to a requirement of the position. Okay, so moving on to key duties and responsibilities. Again, this is something that is in that general position description that you all will be able to refer to moving forward. And this, you can see here, is very straightforward. It's about leading municipal operations, directing the budget, overseeing all aspects of the personnel, including compensation and employee engagement, managing direct reports, coordinating with department heads to ensure that policies, laws, and ordinances are implemented. So just kind of your basic, when someone knows what it is to be a manager in Marvin, they understand that this is their job description. And this is very important because when you all do performance evaluations or do goal setting with your manager, you're looking at this scope. This is what you're basing it on. Moving it forward to the next set of bullets. Let me go here. Did it go? It didn't go. Oh, you're good. Oh. There we go. So the top bullet is very important because one of their key responsibilities is to implement your direction. So establishing long-term goals, communicating organizational priorities, and implementing your plans and policies. They would also oversee the engagement with the council, including preparing agendas and progress reports and supplementary materials that you would need to do your duties in your roles. And then providing professional and technical advice to you as the council and exercising sound judgment and professionalism in routine, emergency, and controversial situations. Finally, they have project management responsibilities to execute key projects and council priorities as identified in your strategic plan and guiding documents. So kind of just filling out the job description with those elements. And then the last slide under key duties and responsibilities, doesn't like me, this clicker, goes to responding to citizen concerns and maintaining clear communications with the public, meeting regularly with community groups and public agencies regarding what the village does and how it delivers its services. The last two bullets we included as well, coordinating and collaborating with other units of government and partners. This is important because you have contracted services, so that would need to be included. And then a general bullet at the end about making sure that the manager is keeping up with current knowledge of municipal management laws and practices. So again, I know it's a lot of information. You can kind of take it in, but those are good practice, key duties and responsibilities that are very common in North Carolina and reflect input that you gave me previously. All right, let's get to some of the good stuff. So when we take this position description, we're going to create a job ad that you can imagine goes on a platform like Indeed. It would go on your website, and it's a description of what it is you're asking someone to do in this role. The job brochure is a little bit more of a marketing piece. It's to get people excited about the opportunity and to really shine what's happening here in Marvin and your expectations for the position. So the desired candidate attributes are what you're looking for in your applicant pool and in your manager. So these are kind of the key characteristics on how they would lead, how they would make decisions, how they would engage with the staff and engage with the community. So these are really important characteristics for you all to pay attention to, because we will build the evaluation criteria off of this. So if there's not something here that's resonating with you, that would be an important feedback loop for me later in this week. So based on your feedback from the survey, we've divided these desired candidate attributes into a couple different categories. What you see here first on the slide and the first couple of bullets in your packet, professional judgment and integrity being a really critical part of being a manager. You're asking them to steward the staff and steward the public resources and the public trust. So that means having integrity and high professional standards, and you can see the sub-bullets that are listed here. Deeply related to that is going to be their leadership style. What kind of leader are you looking to attract to the village? A lot of your comments were about consensus building and collaboration, being calm and steady under pressure, and building trust. So that's what these bullets reflect, that feedback you provided. On the next set of attributes, a big theme in what you are looking for is regarding communication and interpersonal effectiveness. So you can see some bullets here: communicates with confidence and clarity, demonstrates tact, emotional intelligence, and navigating interpersonal situations with empathy and professionalism, and being approachable. You also talked about having patience and judgment in high-pressure environments. So those were some of the themes that I got from your feedback. And then the last category is regarding problem solving and adaptability. So that's really being able to be creative and innovative in problem solving and to be adaptable when the answer is not immediately clear. So let me pause there. Did that resonate with you in terms of what you're looking for, not the qualifications and experience and knowledge, but kind of who they are as a person? Is that?
Yeah, that exhibits a lot of the traits.
You got to set the bar high. Again, you can think about this and give me some feedback as we head towards the end of the week. Last little bit before we turn to the brochure for some initial conversation is the salary range. So your current range is well within what comparable communities, both statewide and in the region. So we took a look at the League of Municipalities survey data. Your low end is comparable. Your higher end is a little less, but I wouldn't go up given the size of the community and the size of your budget. I think it's right where it needs to be. So we don't recommend any changes to your salary range. You should note, I will note, however, that you should expect candidates to be at the upper end of that range. We're not seeing managers looking for positions for less than $125,000. That's kind of where the market is right now. So I would expect more 150, and if they have really sound qualifications and experiences, towards the higher end of that range. You did indicate that no residency is required. I think that's fantastic. That can be a real limiting factor for candidates. I do recommend that we do put language in the brochure, and you'll see it, that the candidates should be in reasonable commuting distance. I think it would be really hard, given where you're located, if someone was an hour and a half away and wasn't moving to the region, to at least be a part of being able to be responsive to your needs on an on-demand basis.
Geraldine, along
Yes.
those lines, is it customary to pay relocation expenses or no?
Great question. In the public sector, not typically, unless there is a really compelling reason to do that, especially given the volume of candidates we're seeing from out of state. I don't think you need to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. So in terms of marketing and promotion, we took a stab at the brochure. Now, I know that no one's going to know your community the way you guys know your community, so I fully expect there'll be lots of red pen comments. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's totally fine. Let me give you a little bit of sense of the structure of the document so you can have that in mind as you're reviewing. So the first page is really about talking about this community and about what makes Marvin special. What would make this as an attractive opportunity for someone coming into the region? So that first page, have at it. If you want to use different verbs, adjectives, if you don't want to include certain information, that's totally fine. It should reflect what is important to you and what you would like to say, right? Consider it placeholder text. The second page on the inside is a description of the opportunity. So that's what we went over tonight. I will update this based on any other comments that I receive from you, but for the most part, we need to talk about the opportunity and give them a basic understanding of the role. It's not going to be comprehensive. We're going to refer them to the job ad for that. Make sense? And then you're going to have on the back some disclosures, how to apply, the type of government that you are, so some basic information on the rear of the brochure. All right, so I will, through Austin, give you all the best way to give me comments. So I'll do that this evening, and he can send that to you, and you all can have at it, give me whatever you got, and I'll synthesize it into the brochure. We'd like to have that finalized by Friday, and then we can go from there in terms of promotion. Last little thing that I'll mention, in terms of marketing the position, just wanted to give you a sense here of the different channels that we could use and the costs associated with them. So the North Carolina League of Municipalities, it's $125 to post the position. Usually these are 30-day postings, and I would have you all do that because you're members of the league. So that would be your cost. ICMA, which is the International City and County Managers Association, it's a national organization. It's highly regarded. Christina is a credentialed manager. So if you want to get a little bit more exposure for this position, you can post on ICMA for the cost that you see here. Indeed, you kind of have to do Indeed, but you get a lot of people who have no qualifications. It's about $35 a day for high exposure, so you would just have to let us know what you'd want to do on that. Obviously, no cost to put on your website and your social media. And then if you would like some more targeted outreach, we could look at the municipal leagues of your neighboring states. But I think between the league, ICMA, and our own collective promotion on social media, you should get pretty good exposure for this position.
Do you know what's been most effective? I mean, do you track where people originally come from?
I mean, I know Indeed, because we get people, they just search for manager and they just apply. So you get a lot that's not qualified. The best is the league's website, and then we do targeted outreach to managers. We try not to poach, but we definitely make sure the managers in the region are aware of the opportunity that is here already. And then I think ICMA, you'll get some more highly qualified candidates from outside. That's where I'd spend my dollars.
Great, thank you.
I think that is my last slide. Any other comments, questions from the board at this point?
No,
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. So you look for some follow-up from Austin, and if it's okay, one last point of clarification. Is there someone who would like to have the final review over the brochure and position description so that we can move quickly next week? Or how would you like to handle reviewing and approving the final document before it goes out?
Is there someone from a staff level that is kind of heading this coordination with the league? Because I know you're only here a few more days, Christina, right?
Yeah, I'm here until Friday. We have not designated anyone at staff because we had hired COG to do it, but the final touches, if it's just kind of combining some of the thought processes, they should be able to handle that. And if y'all want to send it to Austin for one last review, I think he can handle that.
And, with the...
I look forward to working with all of you. It will either be myself. I look forward to working with all of you. It will either be myself or my HR director who will be engaging with you. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any comments or concerns as we get going.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we have a presentation of plaque, and we need to consider adopting a resolution honoring the exemplary tenure and public service of Christina Lauren Amos. So I'm going to read this. Whereas Christina Lauren Amos has concluded 8 years of exceptional executive leadership as Chief Administrative Officer for the Village of Marvin, defining an era of strategic modernization and civic progress from 2018 to 2026. And whereas Christina expertly managed the complex operational evolution of the village, successfully implementing the council manager form of government and establishing the Public Works Department to streamline municipal services, and whereas she demonstrated masterclass stewardship over the village's financial health, overseeing the strategic planning, funding, and execution of capital projects while maintaining resilient and balanced budgets, and whereas she masterfully executed the policy goals and vision of the Village Council, utilizing long-range strategic planning that successfully culminated in the construction of Marvin Village Hall and Houston Ross Park, as well as the expansion of municipal services, and whereas Christina consistently elevated the profile of the Village of Marvin on a regional level, fostering strong intergovernmental relationships and representing the community with the highest degree of professionalism among neighboring jurisdictions. And whereas within the organization, she created a deeply supportive environment where staff felt safe, valued, and empowered, cultivating the confidence in each team member to grow both personally and professionally. And whereas her steady hand, ethical governance, and profound respect for the democratic process have set a benchmark for public administration that will benefit the Village of Marvin for generations to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Marvin, North Carolina, that high commendation is hereby bestowed upon Christina Lauren Amos for her landmark contributions to the governance, infrastructure, and financial stability of the Village of Marvin. The Village Council and staff formally record their profound appreciation for her 8 years of tireless dedication, steady guidance, and meritorious public service. The village extends its collective and heartfelt congratulations to Christina as she transitions to her next professional chapter, wishing her enduring fulfillment and success. Be it further resolved that the formal expression of gratitude be officially adopted into the permanent minutes of the Village Council and a ceremonial copy be presented to Christina Lauren Amos.
motion on that resolution?
So moved.
So Fred made a motion on that resolution.
Oh, okay.
So you just need to take a vote.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And the other half, and I will try to get through this without crying here. In grateful appreciation to Christina Lauren Amos, Village Manager 2020 to 2016, Village Administrator 2018 to 2020, presented by the council, staff, and residents of the Village of Marvin, North Carolina, with the deepest gratitude for 8 years of visionary leadership, unwavering dedication, and profound service. As both Village Administrator and our first Village Manager, you successfully guided Marvin through a foundational era of growth and structural transition. As a champion for our community, your legacy is permanently woven into the fabric of Marvin, from the ground built beneath the new Marvin Village Hall to the culture of collaboration you fostered every day. To your staff, you were more than just a manager. You were an advocate, a trusted mentor, and you always had an open door. You championed our professional growth, inspiring us to pursue continuing education, attain certifications, and elevate our standards of excellence. You taught us what it means to lead with respect, to listen with intention, and to serve with heart. Thank you for leaving the Village of Marvin a better and brighter place. We wish you the very best in your future endeavors.
Okay.
If anyone else has anything to say, this is the time. If you want to take comments from anyone else.
Anyone else have comments?
I do. Thank you all. I really appreciate that. And I actually wrote down some comments because I knew I would forget some of the things I wanted to say. So I just wanted to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to serve Village over the last 8 years. The journey has been both rewarding and challenging, but every day has been made easier by the dedicated staff that you have here tonight. I reflect back at the time we have accomplished over the years, and it's amazing what our dynamic team has produced. From going from a 1,500 square foot rental house where Hunter and I shared the same bedroom, to the beautiful Village Hall that we're sitting in here today, to withstanding a global pandemic and all the things that you all mentioned before. I would say throughout my career, I've welcomed questions, scrutiny, and differing opinions. I want to leave expressing the importance of the foundation of mutual trust and respect for effective leadership, governance, and administration. The Village deserves leadership environment where trust, confidence, and partnership exist among all of us, where ultimately achieving the best outcomes for the community is core to all the decisions being made. That said, I leave with great pride and gratitude. I am proud of what past, present, and current staff, board, council members have accomplished together. I remain confident that the future of this community, Marvin is remarkable. Marvin is a remarkable village filled with dedicated public servants, engaged residents who deeply care about its future. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for the support and commitment to this community. Thank you all. I will be forever grateful for the experiences, relationships, and accomplishments that I have made that define these last 8 years. I wish the mayor, council, staff, and residents nothing but success in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
You will be missed. Okay, moving to previous public comment inquiries.
I think we had
We had something with
Yeah, the
Firethorn,
Firethorn.
right?
Sorry, we had a resident from Firethorn probably about 4 or 5 months ago come in and report some issues with getting in and out of Firethorn. We reported that to DOT. They subsequently did a traffic study and they're warranting some changes. It looks like signalization is what they're looking at. They're still exploring a couple of different options, but they wanted to present to us that they're looking into it and that it does warrant some changes. And they're looking at funding resources to see what can happen. So still more to come on that one, but there is some traction being made from the state level.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving to public comment.
Okay. Get my timer ready here. First up is Mike Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane.
Good evening, everyone. Before I start, when can I expect the terms of the settlement? Because there's some actions I'll be taking on the back of it, so I need them like ASAP.
Settlement hasn't been finalized. It's soon as practical after it's finalized. But it was, the language was kind of strange, but it was basically the village sent its proposal. So we don't know. So settlement hasn't been
When
made.
can I know those details?
It's,
Even if they're preliminary, I mean, there's actions I want to take now, so I need to know what they are.
well, there's no final settlement at all.
Okay. All right, well, it's going to be on a ticker. Anyway, Mike Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane. Good evening. I've emailed a full rebuttal of the mayor's Q1 statement to the mayor, council, and staff. Read the review or the destruction of the political propaganda at your leisure. Austin, I ask that you please include in the minutes for all residents to read. They deserve to know the truth. I'm not going to read that rebuttal tonight. I'm only going to address one point. Mayor, your Q1 summary, distributed using village branding and resources, is biased political narrative, not a factual overview. It cited respect as an accomplishment and a win. Let's test that one claim. Reviewing 5 names and outcomes, but one common thread. Ken Marino. He was not reappointed to the planning board. This was after discussions under false pretenses. Mike Lavelle. He was removed from the planning board without cause after questioning the Marino decision. John Jones. He resigned from the planning board after a named official took issue with his opinion as a resident. Christine Amos resigned, citing a lack of trust and respect. Kim Vandenberg, my wife, a pattern of disrespect. The hot mic moment and the lack of remorse afterwards is one example. Mayor, do you recognize the common thread? The same elected official, the same disrespectful behavior, one constant, drove all of these issues. Mayor, the common thread, the disrespectful official, it's you. You preach about a civility pledge. Either live it or stop using it as political cover. And now, coming full circle to your claim, and after hearing very simple evidence, if your personal behavior and outcomes are a claimed win, I would hate to see a loss. Do better starting now. Angel, last meeting you said donor relationships aren't pay to play and aren't a legal problem. Yes, donors are legal. This is not a question of legality, but it is a question of ethics. Is it ethical when favoritism and even unity are defined by donor contributions? Next election, if builders donate heavily to candidates, is that acceptable? Or is it only certain donors with certain agendas? Let me be clear. Your behavior with donors isn't leadership, it's favoritism. Evidence actions appear as pay to play, given the strong donor relationships, with some interaction involving litigation against the village you represent. It's Marvin Swamp, and you're driving it. Finally, I want to thank Christina Amos for her service to this village. Her resignation is a significant loss, and it was avoidable. Christina, I wish you the best. You serve Marvin with professionalism, integrity, and class. To the rest of the staff, you do excellent work, and this village needs you. Hold your heads high, keep doing great work, and demand the respect you deserve. If I can ever help support or advocate for you, please ask. But thank you for everything you do. Council, get your acts together.
Next up is Kim Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane.
Good evening. Kim Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane. Let's review the meeting minutes debacle and the conduct surrounding it. I am a defendant in litigation currently under appeal. Well, maybe not anymore. During public comment, I referenced council members who expressed support for my defense. After the draft minutes were published, Tom Eck received a text from a plaintiff suing both the village and me regarding what should be reflected in the minutes. Angel Martin then spoke to the clerk over the weekend, and the draft minutes were altered. No public discussion, no transparency. The revised version was later approved without all of council members being informed that changes had been made from the originally published draft agenda packet. I only became aware of this through communications obtained via public records request. Otherwise, residents would have never known what was occurring behind closed doors. I formally requested the minutes be restored to the original draft. This council voted no. The justification given for refusing to restore the minutes was that the issue was not material. But if it was not material, why was there a coordinated weekend effort to change them at all? Is material enough for communications with the plaintiff, material enough to alter draft minutes, material enough for staff to recommend restoring the original language, and material enough for this council majority to ignore that recommendation anyway. By any honest standard, it was material. The comments were made contemporaneously, and they were material to me, which is why I made them. And what makes this even more troubling was the discussion from this council about consistency. We heard about consistency tonight. Residents hear about applying standards consistently, following processes consistently, treating matters consistently. Yet when it came to these minutes, consistency disappeared. Staff recommended correcting the issue, the council ignored it, and apparently consistency only matters when it's politically convenient. And Chaplain, this was never merely procedural. A plaintiff influenced the recorded statement of a defendant she is actively suing, and this council facilitated it. Staff gave professional recommendations, the majority ignored them. Christina Amos resigned shortly after. You do the math. It is also becoming increasingly apparent that several new members of this council have not taken the time to learn basic procedures governing public meetings. Residents elected a council to govern, not learn the rules on the fly. Before trying to reinvent how meetings are run, council members should first understand the rules that are already in place. Following proper procedure is not optional, and the continued confusion over basic meeting conduct reflects a troubling lack of preparation. Do your homework, learn the rules, follow them. And lastly, Angel, your comments at the last council meeting were not subtle. Neither are the statements being made to others regarding me and the heritage development. The statements are false. You are increasing risk for yourself and the village. You should stop. See you at the next meeting. And I'm going to drop this off for you guys.
All right, next up is John Jones, 9913 Heritage Oak Lane.
John Jones, 9913 Heritage Oaks Lane. Mayor, council members, fellow Marvin residents here in the chamber, and all those residents online watching. I was appointed to the Marvin Planning Board in January of 2018, and then in March of 2018, I was elected as chairman of the Planning Board. As chairman, I spent a lot of time in Village Hall. But during those early days at Village Hall, I was extremely disappointed in the staff. There was not a single professional staff member trained to fill the position they were in. I would describe them, excuse me, ladies, I don't know how else to describe this, but they were just housewives of Marvin who were bored and figured they could do the job. Over the following years, the previous council and mayor made it a point to hire qualified staff for the village, which it deserved. Prior to the swearing in of the current council and mayor, every village staff member is college educated in municipal government to fill their respective position. I had the fortunate opportunity to work with these individuals. I can say that it made me extremely proud of the village of Marvin to be served by such excellent personnel. Well, it takes less than 6 months for the current administration to successfully start chasing these professional employees away. Based on what I know about him, I would guess that Mayor Barbara is the prime driver in this first departure. Village Manager Christina Amos. You will not be able to find a replacement that is as conscientious and as dedicated as Ms. Amos. This is demonstrated by all of the advice and additional work that she is and has put in to assist you after her departure. I'm sure that she will not be the last employee to resign, but I guess that won't be a problem because positions can be filled by, to use the mayor's term, excellent professionals who live in Marvin. Can we say donors to Marvin United? In closing, I foresee a dramatic decline in the quality of life under the new administration. Thank you.
Next up is Wenbin Ewan, 2049 Odell Farm Lane.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'm a newcomer to this village. So we bought a house in Marvin, Heritage Marvin last year. So here today I'm representing a few neighbors of mine. We want to talk about this one trail that is being worked on in the southeast side of the place. First of all, we respectfully request that the village reconsider the proposed trail on behalf of our neighborhood because everybody came here. We live just across on that area. So we're like 6, 7 8 houses, so all the representatives are here. There's 1 or 2, they may not able to come. We want to make sure we speak out, at least you guys can hear us. So we understand the intention of improving the community, but we also learned that this trail is not going to connect with any other neighborhood, at least so far, right? So we already have a trail on the other side of the community, and we see that there's no value to put additional investment just to extend this trail. And all of us, actually, when we bought the house, we were told by Jones Homes that there's no plan to build any trail. And we actually paid a premium, just to keep a little bit more privacy. We do think that, the fund can be used in some better way. We can even build more trees. You can do other stuff. But just for us, there's no value to extend the trail. All it does is, to reduce some of the privacy that we have. So I don't know if my neighbors want to say anything today. But again, this is my first time here. Good to see everybody. Thank you.
The last person signed up is Andrew Marsh. I don't have an address, though. Okay. And if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Gregory Marsh, prospective resident at Marvin as well. And wanted to follow up on my future neighbor's comment that in coming into this neighborhood, we are not seeing the current benefit of adding an extended trail to the neighborhood. We certainly would love to learn more about what this trail will involve and what the upkeep of the trail would look like. But as he said, in making a decision to move into the neighborhood, especially in that area, part of it was the privacy that we were told was going to be there and factored significantly into our decision. And now that decision has been changed. We also understand that a vote was made and the council members have agreed to extend the trail. We would love for that decision to be postponed until all future members of the community are at least in place, and we can take another look at that trail if needed. But our request today is that we postpone that decision, or at least cancel that decision if possible. Thank you.
That is all. You may proceed.
I don't have anything to report.
You don't have one? Asphalt?
I'm gonna do that in Public Works.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is there, sorry, I thought I had it in Public Works, sorry. I sent y'all an email this morning letting you know that we had the RFPs for asphalt due today. This is the 3rd time we've posted it. We got no bidders on this one either, so currently the village does not have an asphalt vendor. So if there's potholes that need to be reconciled, you're gonna have to find a vendor to just come out and do it at a higher cost, because it's not at a negotiated lower rate cost per the volume. So just so you know, I have put this on the list for the interim manager to look into, but I just don't know, what else we can do.
We talked about interlocal agreements. Is there a way to reach out to a Waxhaw or something and use theirs somehow?
Yeah, I mean, we can look into that for sure. That's something the mayor and I had discussed with Waxhaw probably 2 or 3 months ago. And it is something that we had talked about doing next year because we weren't going to be ready in time to get it presented this year, but it is something that the interim could work on if that's something the council wants to look at.
Okay. Okay. Planners report.
Good evening, council. Yeah, you guys can hear me, right? 2 items, 3 actually, but real quick, rezoning updates. Just want to, inform you guys on those 2 applications that I've mentioned at previous meetings. The let property rezoning will be tentatively considered at your guys' July meeting, where you will hold a public hearing and then vote on the rezoning application. I also sent you guys an email today regarding final round of the small groups, kind of going over their revised application and all that. So if you can, just please respond to me your availability on that. Do you have a question?
Go ahead.
You sure? I mean,
What's the latest proposal as far as like number of houses and lot sizes?
so they revised their current proposals for 24 single-family lots. The lot size average has went up because of that. They've also upped the side setbacks and minimum building separation based off of the feedback that's been received thus far through the neighborhood meeting, planning board, and staff, and as well as from council. So it's still a cluster type. It still, I think, has about 53% open space. But since this is a revised plan and this is going to be coming to you guys in July, that's why I want to get it in front of you one last time, just to go over it and make sure that if any other questions or comments, I can make sure to get to the applicant prior to it going to planning board.
At the risk of getting way too into the weeds, what's the range on lot sizes?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay,
I can get it to you after this, though.
That's fine.
The other rezoning, the Marvin School Road property, it'll be on planning board as well this month, but it is not. It should then be to you guys in August. I do not foresee planning board making a recommendation, especially with having the new members of planning board coming on. So that will be on your August agenda. Regarding the comp plan, it's still moving forward. Tentatively, we're going to have an open house once that we're looking at end of June, mid-July. Trying to be playing with holidays and stuff there. But once that date's finalized, we will be advertising that. And then that is slated to potentially be in front of you guys at your September meeting for adoption of that plan. The only other thing I got to update you, I can't remember if I did this at the last meeting, is we did receive 50 trees donated from the Arbor Day Foundation. They're currently over at the park. Staff's working to figure out, we can use these trees for planting, they're baby trees, like 1 to 3 feet tall. But a good quality species. I worked with Keith as well as Christina Culp on those species selection, but they were donated for free. We can offer them to residents. It's something that we're looking into to seeing where we want to utilize them on our park or here at Village Hall, as well as other opportunities. So if council has any thoughts or suggestions on that, feel free to reach out and can talk through it for sure.
Hunter, just real quick, I'd like to go back to the Lett property.
Mm-hmm.
Between now and the July council meeting, how are you going to get consensus in terms of move forward with the Lett property?
Well, you guys will make that decision during the vote. That's part of the intent of like those small group meetings, is really to make sure that, one, you guys understand what's being proposed, but as well as kind of gathering, what your biggest concerns are to see if they can be addressed. But ultimately, you as a council will make that decision when after the public hearing is conducted. So you would then ensure it's going to be recommended to make the motion in the affirmative, saying that to move forward approving the rezoning. However, you don't have to, you can oppose that motion and not approve the rezoning in the shortest way, or is the simplest way to say it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, Public Works report.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Parks and Rec report.
I don't really have much either, just National Night Out is coming up in August. It's the first Tuesday in August, so we're kind of wrapping up the details for that. I think we have promotions already started, and currently in the process of planning the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Houston Ross Park. And yeah, other than that, there's just moving forward, lots of graduations happening at our barn, lots of parties and celebrations. It's been really great. So people are loving it, and we've had a packed rental calendar. So we've been very busy in the finance/Parks and Rec department. Any questions? All right.
Thank you. Okay, deputies report.
Good evening, Council. And for those at home that don't know me, and anyone here that I don't know, I'm Lieutenant James May. I'm the Contracts Lieutenant for Sheriff Eddie Cathy in the Union County Sheriff's Office. glad to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to share just a few things with you. As we look through our crime, or I say performance statistics or crime stats for the Sheriff's Office in May of 2026, you've got that in front of you. I won't go line item for line item, but I will highlight just a few things. We did see a slight increase in traffic crashes last month. Our deputies, Breslin, Swan, and myself, we investigate those as they happen to try to clear the roadways. Most of those were not, I would say probably 90% plus of those were not speed related. They were related to failure to yield, failure to stop, rear-end collisions. So we're continuing to try and increase our enforcement activities in areas that are pertinent to those crashes to try to lower that number to keep everyone safe. Our patrols were right where they usually are, in that 693 to 700 range. That's when the deputies turn on those solid blue lights and they're just driving around checking the neighborhoods to prevent crime. As I said earlier, our traffic efforts to slow people down, to prevent crashes, and just prevent crime in general, had 74 traffic stops last month as a group, and so pretty good number. Our guys and girls, because the entire Sheriff's Office helps work this area, not just Swan and Breslin and myself. They're out there answering those 911 calls, being visible. As always, we encourage residents of Marvin to call 911 in a timely manner. If you see anything suspicious, or you just feel like something's not right, don't wait to call the non-emergency line. Go ahead and call us at 911. As always, we offer our free residential checks. With the summer coming along, one thing we will likely see an increase in is car break-in attempts. We encourage everyone to remove valuables from your car, especially your guns, especially your keys, and lock those car doors every night. Shut those garage doors, lock your house doors. Marvin is one of the safest areas in Union County. I'm going to say that again. Marvin is one of the safest areas in Union County, and Union County is one of the safest counties in the state of North Carolina. So we don't see a major crime problem, but we can do a lot to prevent it. If cars are unlocked, valuables are left, we will see people come to try to victimize our residents. So we can prevent this, but we've just got to work together to do it. So remove those valuables, lock your cars. If you're going to go on vacation and you want us to check your house, we can do that. Absolutely, it doesn't cost you a dime. We've got the website, residential check on our website, and you can fill out exactly what cars should be in your driveway, how long you're going to be gone, and the only person you'll see on your property should be is a deputy walking around that's going to set off your ring cameras or whatever else. So we encourage people to do that. Before I ask if there's any questions, I would like to say, Christina, truly a professional. We've worked together the last couple of years between my role as PIO and the patrol lieutenant, and I tell you, we've faced some really cool things, some really good things together. We've faced some things that were really not all that great, some bad times, but I tell you, there was never a doubt in my mind that you're always going to be professional. And I work with 5 small towns, 5 administrators or managers, and 5 town councils, or village councils in this case. But I'm blessed to be supported with great support and great staff and great council members everywhere. But truly, you're one of my favorites. So, like I said, I know you'll do well, but we're going to miss you around here. So, does anyone have any questions for me or from the law enforcement side?
I have one. Thank you for that. It was a great presentation. Could you define careless, reckless driving? Is that like speeding, or could that be other things too?
So it can be speed, but it has to be a careless and reckless amount of speed. So probably 20 miles per hour plus over, would be classified. Like we've talked about our e-motorcycles and our motorcycle activity lately in the area. If they're riding on the back tire or riding on the front tire or riding in any way well, if they're riding on roadways, we've got a problem if it's a motorcycle, but that's a long story. But if you see anybody that's driving in a way that could put someone else at risk, that lane splitting, that in and out of traffic without signaling very fast, you have an argument can be made for careless and reckless driving. So, like I said, and to give you a prime example, the 600 Kawasaki Ninja motorcycle with the guy riding with the tire in the air at 100 miles per hour, if we catch that guy, that's a careless and reckless driving charge, among other things. So,
thank you.
And also we're looking at your radar reports you've got. We continue to just kind of refocus our efforts on areas that need that attention. So we appreciate the continued support from the council, from the residents here, from the residents that are watching online, and always here if you need us. Just one phone call away. But anyone else have any other questions?
I just wanted to thank you for the e-bike
Yes, ma'am.
information that you gave us that we put in our newsletter. So
Great.
Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, I had a great time attending the HOA President's meeting. I hope that information got pushed and is helpful to everybody. And just once again, we can't reiterate enough that don't be scared to call 911. If you need us, that's what we're here for. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, planning board report.
I don't drive a Kawasaki. The planning board met on Tuesday, May 19th, and the two things that was presented to the planning board was, and you kind of stole my thunder there, but the CZ 20261, which is the let property, we talked about how the amount of homes were going from 29 to 24, and the setbacks were changed and that sort of thing, so that was presented to the planning board. The other was CZ 20262, which is obviously the rezoning of the Marvin School Road property. We're talking about 9.46 acres, which some of it's SFR1, some of it's rural residential. And what's going to be coming across our desk, but before that, the planning board, which is bringing it all up to an SFR2. I believe there was 11 homes or 12 homes, I'm not sure, that are on that property.
Yeah, it was for 12, and
12 homes, yeah.
and real quick on that is I have talked with the applicant on that, and based off the feedback received, once again, from the neighborhood meeting and planning board this past meeting, they are in the process of also updating and revising their submittal as well. I just haven't seen their revisal yet.
Cool. That was it.
Okay, thank you. PRG.
At the PRG monthly board meeting in May, we discussed a couple of different items. We went over the recommended community events for next year. So we did formalize those to provide to council for approval in next year's 2027 budget. We did have a discussion, further discussion of some of the signage for the new Houston Ross Park, as well as for some of the new signage that we'll have out in front of Village Hall here, including both the Village Hall as well as Houston Ross Park there. As part of kind of an ancillary part of that, myself, Angel, and one of our PRG board members did attend a meeting with some of the descendants of the Houston Ross families and so forth, and had some conversations on what some of the signage that we'll have there that'll tell a little bit of the story, kind of based on the book Inherit the Land by Gene Stowe, but also really the story of some of the folks in Marvin that really came together at a time that it was pretty unique to heal some social wounds that were going on at the time, and you know, really tell a nice story about Marvin, and we want to enshrine and educate some folks on that story as we dedicate some of this signage to the park. We also talked a little bit, got some additional updates on the state of some of the plants and things, the conversion of the Bermuda to fescue that we're kind of working here on the Village Hall campus and Houston Ross Park with some of the new plantings and so forth. We did have that major drought and running into some well issues and things like that we've been working through. So, you know, continuing to try to do that. Thank goodness we've been getting some rain. And then we also had a presentation on, they're kind of referred to as national fitness courts. They're kind of multi-use courts that, you know, are used for different physical activities and things like that. So we had an initial conversation about that, and if and where there may ever be any appropriate places, whether it be Marvin Eford Park or the Pocket Park over near Publix or something like that. So, you know, we have some ideas, but those are things that we would look at more as long-term planning that we would eventually put into a capital expense type of plan. That's about it, unless anyone has any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Coffee with Council debrief. Who did it?
Is that your one with the?
Yeah, but I think we debriefed at the last
We haven't had one.
yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we'll skip that. Okay, I went to the WUMA meeting, and most of the municipalities in there did respond to the fluoride in Lancaster County, taking the fluoride out of the water. One or two of them, their residents didn't want it addressed, so they didn't. The other thing we talked about was stuff going on in Raleigh. You know, how they're trying to limit municipalities' abilities to govern with, you know, some of the things that they've done and some of the things that they're trying to undo. So that's about it. It was kind of a short meeting. So, okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there anything we need to talk about, or can we have a motion?
Motion to approve the
Okay.
consent agenda as amended.
I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Public hearings. Public hearing to consider the adoption of the fiscal year 26-27 general fund budget ordinance.
Mayor Pro Tem, you need to formally open the public hearing. You can just say that we're opening it.
Okay,
And then
we're-
turn it over to staff.
Okay, so we're going to formally open the public hearing, and I will turn it over to Christina. Jill?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. This is my last budget presentation. Wanted to thank you all for all of your budget contributions to this point, particularly staff and Jill, who were pretty heavy-handed in making this budget happen. I'm not going to read the entire budget message, but you have the budget message in front of you. It's presented to the public. It's also available for inspection. I will read some of the highlights, and then I'll open it over to questions if y'all have any. Attached is the recommended fiscal year 27 budget for the Village of Marvin, which marks the 32nd annual operating budget. The recommended budget is $3.8 million, which $257,000 of that is an increase from the current year, a 7% increase. This is entirely covered by a $290,000 appropriation from various fund balances, including restricted POW bill for the upcoming roads project and road needs, solid waste restricted fund, and unassigned fund balance for capital improvement projects. The budget allows for the transfer of $278,000 to meet the obligation of the Bonds Grove Waxhaw Marvin roundabout, as well as the establishment of a new capital reserve fund for restorative road maintenance with a $200,000 transfer for future savings. The budget is balanced, and it maintains the current levels of service without significant increases in costs. It's recommended at the current rate. It's recommended balancing at the current rate of 5.63 cents, and there's no increase in solid waste. Revenues are listed at ad valorem, which is approximately 41% of your total revenue. Revenue from unrestricted intergovernmental revenues are around 22%. Your POW bill remains basically flat, but it is about 6% of your total budget. Permits and fees are around 1%, and then you have restricted fees, which make up around 24%. You do have a fund balance appropriation of $118,000. This is an unassigned fund balance appropriation to fund electrical upfits at Marvin Eford Park, engineering for the wayfinding signage, some additional park amenities. Financial consulting on roads is recommended to balance this year's budget. Additionally, there are fund balance transfers just over $32,000 from solid waste reserves, as well as $140,000 from POW bill reserve. The rates have been stabilized in solid waste because of this transfer. However, future budgets will need to assess rate increases to cover the solid waste increases in the future, just so you are aware. The vision and strategy per council's strategic direction, the priorities and goals and objectives drove the decision-making process for the fiscal year 27 operating budget. And they are mainly as follows: continued growth of the capital project fund for Bonds Grove Waxhaw Marvin roundabout, increased spending in the preventative road maintenance, as well as the creation of the capital reserve fund for long-term restorative maintenance, the continued 15-year amortization schedule of the building we're sitting in today, operation of solid waste, continued priority of public safety with a 13% increase, continued funding for the capital improvement projects, and then there's a couple of other things, but mostly personnel related, and then the establishment of community partnership program with micro grants to HOAs and nonprofits. Again, the balance is budget. The budget is balanced with 3.8 in revenues and 3.8 in expenditures, with several transfers, as we've mentioned, and also included in your budget message. So unless y'all have any questions or concerns, I'll turn it back over to you guys, and you can open it up to the public for comments.
Okay, the only person that signed up is Kim Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane.
Kim Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane. I want to address the budget and the campaign promises made about taxes. The reality is simple. The village has significant long-term obligations. Roads, infrastructure, capital needs are real. The issue is not that taxes may need to rise. The issue is that residents were repeatedly promised that prior tax increases could be repealed or avoided altogether. Several members of this council campaigned on lowering taxes without fully understanding the village's long-term obligations. I know these obligations exist because I served on council while we addressed them. Prior councils discussed bond proposals, vehicle taxes, infrastructure funding, road funding plans, and tax increases above revenue neutral levels to prepare for the village's future. Those discussions absolutely occurred, and many of you criticized them during the campaign. Angel, in particular, opposed the very road funding, tax, and infrastructure proposals that are now proving unavoidable. Only months later, reality is catching up. Council says it will cut spending to fund critical needs like roads, yet one of its first actions was to spend $17,000 on Village Hall lights that were neither needed nor requested by residents. Is that fiscal responsibility? Experienced board and council members openly acknowledge these obligations cannot simply be ignored because they are politically inconvenient. Yet this council appears to be delaying difficult decisions to preserve campaign promises today while increasing the likelihood of larger tax increases tomorrow. Responsible leadership addresses problems now. I also want to address the mayor's quarterly statement claiming there were no prior plans for roads, taxes, or infrastructure funding. That is simply false. If bond proposals, vehicle taxes, infrastructure funding discussions, and tax increases were publicly debated and criticized by many of you on this dais, then plans did exist. You cannot campaign against plans and later claim that no plans existed. That is political messaging and not honest communication. And what is this financial task force? The village's financial realities were already known by staff and prior councils. Instead, residents watched campaign donors and political allies inserted into a process that added little value while undermining the professionals, Jill, Christina, who already understood the numbers. Those task force members were not elected. You were. Budgeting and financial planning are core council responsibilities, and accountability belongs on this dais. Finally, to Christina, thank you for your years of dedicated service to the village. For nearly 8 years, I saw nothing but professionalism, competence, and commitment to this community. Yet in less than 6 months, this mayor and council created an environment where one of the village's most respected employees decided to leave. When leadership second-guesses staff, questions motives instead of judgment, and treats experienced professionals as obstacles, talented people leave. That reflects a failure of leadership, Mr. Mayor. Christina, thank you for everything you have done for Marvin. You deserved better, and I wish you nothing but success in your next chapter. And to the 2 people that didn't respond to my email, shame on you. Angel, Joe, shame on both of you. See you at the next meeting.
That is all.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business.
No, not yet. So now you can formally close the hearing,
Oh.
and then you need to vote on the budget.
Okay. The galley can be quiet. Yeah, they can, yeah. All right, so we're going to officially close the meeting,
The public hearing.
or the public hearing. And we're going to vote on the budget ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So
you have a motion
I need
in
a
your-
motion.
You have a motion in your system to adopt the fiscal year 26-27 general fund budget ordinance as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, unfinished business. Anything?
Don't have anything.
Okay, new business. Consider the appointment of applicants to the Planning Board and Board of Adjustment for unexpired terms.
So just following your appointment procedure, you have 3 positions here with differing terms, so it's best to go in order, one at a time. For the positions, you have one will expire on 3/1/2027, so just next year. This is for Planning Board member and a regular Board of Adjustment member. So among you all, if you have nominations, you may go around and say who you'd like to nominate.
Okay. You want to start, Fred?
I'll nominate Louis Cotto.
So we have a nomination for Louis. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Pollyanna Cunningham.
Pollyanna, okay.
Are these for the 3 different positions, or are we doing one at a time?
We're doing them one at a time because they have different expiry terms. So we just want to make sure we're very clear about who's getting appointed to which term.
What's the first one?
Huh?
Which is the first one we're?
This is the term for a Planning Board member and regular Board of Adjustment member. This is the term that expires in 27.
In 27, okay, I just want to make sure.
So you have Pollyanna and Louis.
Well, I recommend Rahul Agarwal.
Okay.
In addition to selection, can we give rationale as to why we're choosing?
You absolutely can.
So that, because it may influence people's decisions as to why we do what we're doing. So I'm not saying everybody has to, I'm just saying I think it might be a good thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we would make as many nominations as people want to make first, and then we talk about those specific candidates if there's any discussion, yeah.
You have Ms. Cunningham, Mr. Agarwal, and Mr. Kudo for the 2027 position.
And then you close nominations
Well, I
and
don't
then
wanna-
open
well,
discussion.
Do we have to close them, or
So,
can we not nominate?
You've got 3 now. So if anyone wants to explain their nomination, they can. Otherwise, you can go around the table and just say who your preferred appointee is, and then that's the vote.
Well, I'd like to have some discussion and share why I nominated Pollyanna. Pollyanna's actually had her name available to us for this position for a number of times. In speaking with Pollyanna, I found her to be very, very good from a leadership quality perspective. She's had executive experience with a number of many major corporations and so forth. But one of the other things that was very appealing to me, she lives in an area that not all that long ago was not a part of Marvin. She actually voluntarily annexed herself and her property into the village of Marvin. I think she saw the value in Marvin, and that's one of the reasons that I really think that she's someone deserving of an appointment to our planning board. And, you know, she lives in what we would call a kind of, you know, picturesque Marvin-type neighborhood, and you know, when you think of Marvin, a larger lot and things like that, and you know, a lot of nature and so forth. So those are some of the reasons why I really enjoyed speaking and would like to appoint Pollyanna.
Well, the reason I'd like to support her is she was extremely impressive during our interviewing process, and she's also applied for planning board every time there's been a position available. She has a sincere interest in it. She's in a non-subdivision, and very professional, very committed, loves Marvin, and I think would be an asset to the planning board.
I would like to nominate Tamara. Tamara.
I believe is her boy.
Yes, I would like to nominate her. And part of the reason I would like to nominate her is because she represents Tullamore. When I'm looking at these, you know, if people have a desire to serve, I also look at where they live and if their community is represented, either, you know, PRG, planning board, whatever, and Tullamore isn't. So she's very approachable. She wants to get involved, and I was very impressed with her. So I would like you all to consider her too.
So that is 4 nominations. Are there any other? not, Tom, Lee, you can start off with the
There's
vote.
nobody else on the,
Well, I'd like to mention that of the two nominations, I would concur.
4 nominations.
Excuse me, what, no, I'm saying of the two that were mentioned here, Pollyanna and Tamara.
Yeah, I concur.
I spent 15, 20 minutes talking to Rahul Agarwal. He was relatively new to the community. He'd only been here a couple of years. He lives in the Broadmoor community. And he had a fresh outlook on Marvin and exactly the development that he moved into and what he has seen. And I thought he brings a fresh pair of eyes, being new. He was looking at everything new. He actually chose this community based on a lot of things. And I thought he would add a different newbie, fresh perspective.
So just to clarify, we'll be renominating
Yeah.
for each
Yeah.
different position.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
did you nominate him for this one, or?
Yeah, well, I'm putting him in for this one, but
You can, we can nominate as many,
you can
as-
yeah.
continually as many positions as there are, so.
So did we have 2 for Pollyanna on this one?
So this is not the vote yet. The vote is next. So Tom, if you want to start the voting, you can for this position.
yeah.
For the first position.
So I vote?
Each person says their preferred appointee.
Who- Are
For
we,
the 27, term expiring in 27, I vote for Pollyanna.
Pollyanna, John?
Pollyanna?
Pollyanna?
Raul.
Pollyanna.
Okay, so Pollyanna is appointed. We will let her know.
Perfect.
The next position is, it is another Planning Board and Board of Adjustment regular member. This is the 2028 position. So again, nominations.
Well, I nominate again Rahul Agarwal.
I nominate Louis.
Louis.
Okay, so a nomination for Raul and a nomination for Louis. Any other nominations?
I'd like to say why I'm supporting Ronald. One is your perspective. He's new to our community. An excellent interview. His desires for Marvin align with council in terms of how he would like to see us move forward with plan development, low density. And I just think from a personality perspective, he would be a good fit for our planning board. He, very, very level thinker. I don't think he's going to have a lot of high and lows. And I think he's going to be very pragmatic in his decision making. So that's the reason I'm going with him.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience in my conversations with Rahul as well. I think at the time, I think previously when we considered, there were some concerns that I heard that some folks, well, we already had another planning board member from Broadmoor, but that's not the case anymore. One of those folks resigned. So there's not that real issue or concern of having too many from any one neighborhood. Yeah, I would say I saw him as having a broader experience and general knowledge. I think with as many new people as we're having to go on the planning board, at this time, really changing over 3 or 4 members in a rather short period of time. Just the fact that he brings some general knowledge of the issues that we have, and not someone that is going to need all the training, but has some general experience of development and otherwise would be a good thing.
If there are no other comments, Tom, same thing?
Was Tamara nominated for this
No.
second round? I'd like to nominate.
You'd like to nominate Tamara? Okay.
Yeah.
There-
And just while I'm saying it, I interviewed, all of them at one point or another. I think all of them would do a very good job, and I really appreciate everyone's interest and willingness to serve. I think any of them would be good. Just on Tamara in particular, she has a lot of experience working with the homeowners associations and working on trails and other like civic improvements along the roadways and stuff like that. So I think she'd really bring a great perspective. So I want to nominate her.
Yeah, I would second what Tom says about Tamara too. Tamara, I had a good conversation with her, and being someone that spent a long period of time prior to being on council, but being on one of our local HOA boards, I think you learn a lot of the skills it takes in terms of managing, a lot of differing residents' opinions and balancing those with the interests of the neighborhood. And I think those things translate as well. So in addition to, additionally, I do think Tamara is a good candidate as well. Tamara, yes, sorry.
No other comments? Do the vote again for this position.
Well, I want to talk about Louis, because like Pollyanna, Louis has put in 3 times as well for this position. He's very committed to Marvin. He's been serving on our finance committee. He has done an outstanding job with the other 2 accountant/CFO people, helping us come up with a viable plan for our roads. And I think he would be an excellent person on the planning board. He's also from Marvin Creek, which is also not represented currently on planning. So that's a very big neighborhood, and I think he would serve us well.
All right, Tom, you wanna lead it off?
I vote for Tamara.
Arwan?
I'm sorry?
Arwan? Argarwal?
Oh,
Arwan
okay,
Argarwal?
sorry.
Wasn't he nominated?
Yeah.
Louis.
Rahul?
Louis.
Rahul's been appointed. Okay, so we'll let him know. And last but not least, you've got the 2029 position. This is Planning Board Member and Board of Adjustment alternate.
I'm going to nominate Louis again.
Supposed to get a majority of the vote, I think. Because you.
It was 3-3.
It was 3-3.
Well, is it a majority? Or is it the majority of those?
No, it was 3-2.
It was 3-2-1.
Right. 3-2-1.
It was a 3-2-1 vote. Okay.
Got confused.
So the last one is the 2029 position. This is Planning Board Member and a Board of Adjustment alternate. So you said Louis and who else?
I'd like to nominate Tamara.
Tamara.
Yeah, I second that. Tamara.
Any other nominations? Okay, same thing. You're gonna lead it off, Tom?
All right, I vote for Louis Kudo.
Louis?
Tamara.
Louis.
Tamara.
Louis.
Now it's tied.
And this is a situation where the mayor doesn't get to break a tie. The mayor doesn't get to
What
participate
do
in
we do, flip
appointments.
a coin?
So you have to just go around, there has to be more conversation until there's a majority or this vote is tabled. Do you agree, Chaplain?
Yes, I do. And with our rules of procedure, the mayor normally would break, but he can't vote remotely.
They can't vote on appointments either.
You were turned off, so.
I'm sorry. Normally, the mayor would break a tie, but in accordance with our rules of procedure and our remote participation policy, persons not in attendance, they can discuss, they can be in the meeting, but they can't vote.
The mayor also in the rules of procedure can't vote on appointments specifically.
So do y'all want to just table this till the work session?
Well, I think we could have some more discussion about it too. I would, I prefer to talk about the reasons why I like to vote for someone versus why I don't. So in that case, to reflect on what I said before and in support of Tom's comments and in supporting Tamara, and I think at different points in this process, both you and Tom had nominated Tamara for other of these roles. I just think her experience in terms of having served the residents of her community, I think it was about 7 years or so, is something that I really, take into account. She really seemed like she had the time to dedicate toward it when I spoke to her about that, it's one thing that we all have to be cognizant of is the amount of, commitment time that these things take up and so forth. And she did seem to be able to handle that well. So I just wanted to reiterate that support for Tamara. And I think from a consensus standpoint, many of us have already voted for her or nominated her so far on this day. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is her application reads really well. Not anything against Louis, but Louis is also serving in another capacity in the finance realm.
Yeah, but they're almost done.
What's that?
They're almost done, though. They're going to present to us next month, and then they'll be done. So,
This is the most like Congress you guys will be, because in theory, we vote until there's a majority or until we give up for the day, so.
Yeah, and I would like to clarify, the mayor normally votes in a case of a tie, but not with appointments under our rules. So
we have to agree.
yeah, or you leave a vacancy, but that's not preferred. We try to fill the positions.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I think they both would have gotten a position. I think they're both incredibly qualified. I think they both would have brought a lot to the planning board, and I would have loved to have seen them both get appointed. But we've only got one spot left. But yes, I would have voted both those names in any round.
Want to go around the horn again for a vote? That's your next option.
I mean,
Go ahead, just for fun. Have Tom start. Who you for?
What, vote again?
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to say a little bit about Louis. I think he has proven that he is very dedicated to serving the people of Marvin through the Finance Committee. I think he's also proven that he can build consensus and work well with the staff. And again, nothing against Tamara, but Louis is a proven quantity, and I think he'd add a lot to the planning board. He's got a great resume, huge career in banking. I think he'd be great in the role. And as between, and again, not a knock on Tamara, I nominated her on the last round, but as between Tamara and Louis, I think Louis' qualifications stand out.
We can start on this side this time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd still like to support Tamara. I just think she's a highly qualified candidate that I support.
Brad, you want to start this time?
Louis.
I'm for tomorrow.
I'm staying with tomorrow, and one of the reasons I'm staying with tomorrow is I'm trying to think through the dynamic of our planning board in terms of personalities and who can add value, not just from an experience perspective, but in terms of a balance in the committee itself. And I just think Tamara's that person, and so I'm gonna stay with her.
Angel,
Louis.
John.
Tamara, yeah. So maybe we just need to table this.
And Tom. So yeah, you guys are tied, so I think your best option is probably to table here.
It, yeah.
Unless
Okay.
Chaplain has any other suggestions.
Well, can we come back to it in the work session, maybe?
Yeah, as long as it's on an agenda.
We can have it on the next agenda, just keep in mind, planning board will be the following night. So
Okay.
whoever that is will be thrown in truly thrown in the deep end.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So if I could just get a motion to table that.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Guys, we'll bring that back to the work session.
Okay. All righty. Discussion of providing village email accounts to advisory board members.
Okay, I will keep this really brief. This was in response to one of our board members having a false email created about them and someone pretending to be them. We were asked to put this on the agenda. We can do that if you want. Our internal systems have sufficient phishing protections. Your only issue is we can give someone an email account. It's not going to stop someone from making an email account that could look slightly different that someone could believe. It's also got cost associated with it. A license, the license to provide a planning board or PRG member is about $40 a month. So times that by 12 members, it's a lot. And each member would be about $600 a year. And have from our IT folks, because they are better at-
$600 a year just for an email?
So this is specifically a government license that is aimed for FOIA compliance,
Okay.
records retention. This is also the license we're moving you all to, so you can have, you'll be better able to work on record requests and have access to Microsoft Office.
All the reasons why I think we need to have email addresses for them.
If you do that, just upgrading you all, the cost for current staff and council is $5,700 a year. To add an additional 16 users, not 16 users? 12 users, excuse me. It'd be the same thing, so an additional $5,700 a year. It's a lot. That's my only comment.
You said 5,700?
An additional $5,700 a year.
So I'll just add that we have been paying just under $4,000 a year for our emails, but because of all of the records requests that you're all getting hammered with, we are now having to upgrade you. So essentially what you just passed in the budget, I already have to double because we're upgrading you to new licenses. So that's already got to happen. And then if you add 12 more, we're essentially going to double again. So you're looking at quadrupling what you've been spending on Microsoft Office and emails to accommodate this request, which, in my opinion, is not really going to help solve the problem that initiated this initial conversation.
One quick point of correction. I made one error in speaking a minute ago. We have 16 current users, so currently, just for those licenses, would be $7,600. We'd be adding additional 12 with the 7 planning board and 5 PRG. So $7,600 plus an additional $5,700. You're over $16,000, not $13,000.
And I would say, keep in mind, these email addresses are changing on a regular basis as people come on or go off these boards, which, especially if you consider just the last 6 months alone, is a lot of change as well. So those are monthly fees, I think, Austin, so that, you know, when one person goes, another ends up kind of replacing them, but
Sometimes, but we have to archive sometimes for public records requests for at least a period of time as well. So it gets tricky.
There's administrative measures that would be involved in just setting these up. It's not something you normally see at a town level for advisory boards. You do in some places. Those are usually larger municipalities, your Greensboros, your Raleighs. I think Cary does for their planning board. I got a number of responses from my listserv. And then occasionally you'll have one small town here and there that'll do it, like Weddington does, for example. At the end of the day, it's y'all's decision what you want to do. We're just going to have to accommodate for it budget-wise and.
But to Jill's point, what are we going to achieve? I know we're going to achieve an increase in cost, and I know we're going to increase labor to solve against this. But in terms of the outcome, what do we achieve?
It's going to bring more records in-house for FOIA compliance in the future with board members, as long as they're actively using that Marvin email for business. If someone is using a different email address for business, that doesn't solve the problem.
Or cell phones.
But, wouldn't it be the case that if we don't have assigned emails and have some kind of way of keeping track, we don't have a real record retention program when it comes to the emails that are sent to or from planning board or PRG members, because it's all done outside of our walls through their personal accounts?
If there is a request for someone's specific records.
No, not necessarily a request, but just like a basic record retention plan. Shouldn't we have some kind of process in place?
Chapman, I'll let you speak here.
Yeah, that would centralize it because it puts the village and the village's server more in control on retaining the records. And you can usually get even deleted emails for a period of time, so the one-time delete. So you would have more control over records retention, and it should be easier to respond to public records requests through our system.
And I guess what is a village's or a municipality's responsibility for being able to get to its records, which I would consider to be emails to or from board members?
We have a duty to use best efforts for compliance for Alston to seek and confirm that people have complied.
Okay, but if somebody's a planning board member 10 years ago and they had a Gmail account, they're not necessarily going to be around. We're not going to be able to get those records if. Right?
Or the Gmail account and the person moves to Charlotte or
right.
Connecticut.
There's a very good chance that those records are not going to be available at all. And if they are available at all, it's going to be a big hassle to try and track those people down, as opposed to having a centralized records retention thing where, I just think corporate America, like everything goes to and from your corporate account. For a lot of
These are
reasons.
advisory.
I would also add, though, because many of the FOIA requests or things like that, they're also asking for emails or texts. So then you get into the area, well, are we going to provide them all phones, or things like that as well? So you're always going to have some degree of communications more in general now. When you think of, okay, $7,600 and it's going to be an extra $5,600 or whatever it turns out to be, yeah, that may be a worthy investment, but does it cover all the bases? Maybe not. Does it cover more bases? Maybe so, but I think keeping in mind, you're also talking about the devices themselves are going to be their own devices, because we're not providing iPads or anything like that to them as well.
There's not an ideal situation here. You have options. Will it benefit compliance? Yes. Is it worth the cost? That's up to you. At the end of the day, as far as record requests that we get, the majority are directed at staff, they're directed at council. Some are directed at planning board, some are directed at certain members. In the past, I've never had that many directed towards planning board. So as far as, if FOIA is a concern, I think that's a low risk. Chaplain, you can chime in if you'd like. At the end of the day, if it's whatever you guys want to do, we can implement it. We just have to find the money for it, if that's what you want.
I think it's kind of unnecessary for an advisory board, is my take on it. I think it's not staff, it's not elected officials. I mean, these are people volunteering essentially, and they're just advising. To quote Hunter, right? Like, planning board approved this, but you do whatever you want, you vote however you see fit. Yeah, they recommend, but ultimately it's up to us. I think it's an unnecessary addition.
This all came up because of one situation. Is there any way to put Lieutenant James May on the case here and track whoever did what was happening? I'm teasing, but I don't know, it may be true. I don't know.
I think they're all.
Yeah, can you find out? I mean, we're talking about quadrupling our budget over an incident. Can we track it down?
The fraudulent email.
Sheriff's Office got a case open on this. It is an active investigation with us. Where it's going to lead, I don't know. But there are remedies to try to find IP addresses, things like that of who created this account, who's using this account. Is it cyber stalking? Is it impersonating a government official? We're just going to see where the evidence takes us. We were just notified of this case just last week. So to put it bluntly, if we were a search warrant today and asked for information behind this account, it's going to take several weeks to get that back. As much as 6 to 8 weeks is what we've seen. So the short answer to the question is yes, we can absolutely try. If someone is really good with IT, can they mask it? Sure they can. So I just don't know what the evidence is going to come back with, and with the developments of AI in our world, we're continuing to see cybercrime evolve. So that's just, once again, I'll fall back to you all for the decision you make, but anything that's criminal in nature, obviously the Sheriff's Office will take care of investigating.
Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind about the current situation is that it was more of a spoofing type incident where, even if somebody could take our marvin.gov email and just, change an L to a 1 or something along those lines, or to change the extension to at, so-and-so councilman at gmail.com, which is similar to what happened in this situation. So, I mean, I'm fine if we're looking to spend the extra money for these things. It doesn't necessarily cure what we're experiencing right now.
I think it's the guy on the Kawasaki that's doing wheelies. I think we find that guy, we get our email problem solved.
He's doing 96 miles an hour down Marvin Road.
He's texting while doing it.
So what direction would you like to give staff?
My vote would be let law enforcement pursue this particular one single incident rather than trying to change everything we've got.
That seems to be the consensus. Okay. I think I'm.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think we need to build out a more robust record retention program, totally independent of any of the stuff that happened recently. But it sounds like there's not an appetite to do that now, so that's fine.
I mean, it's a noble pursuit, and it's something that we've done in bits and pieces with addressing records that can be disposed of at this point because they've passed retention. It's a mountain. It's an administrative mountain, especially when it comes to email, and it's something we dedicate some time to. We just don't have enough, and frankly, with the number of record requests that we're getting, I'm just going to nudge you all to remember there are software solutions to this that we probably should consider in the next. I was going to say next few years, but I'm going to say next year.
Are there software solutions that could also help with text, or is that just going to be
with text?
Yeah.
Personal devices, not really.
I don't think there is.
I mean, I'm not super familiar with that side of it, but the internal devices, there's definitely more that can be done. External devices, I'm not sure. Most of the demos that I've done have focused more on the retention of records in general and email. Not so much the texting side.
I think it would be good for you, Austin. I know one of the things that was mentioned is that by and large, most municipalities in North Carolina are not doing this unless they're extremely large sized, that there may be a couple of them, but, to the extent we can get to that kind of golden pinnacle of retention and access and all of those things, I think it's a worthy goal, but spending this amount of money when there's still kind of holes of, what we're going to be able to do, unless we get to the point where we're providing devices to everyone, I think we're going to be kind of behind the eight ball, but that seems to be what every North Carolina municipality is experiencing to some degree.
Okay, so we won't move forward for now.
Table it.
Does it need to be tabled, or are we good?
Well, maybe we should next year look at whatever the software is that you think we need. We can revisit it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can do that. I'll give me time. I'll do some more. I'll do demos again this fall and try to get some updated quotes. Software is not expensive if you get one of the more simple ones that can do what we want. You can get some really fancy ones where you're spending, $20,000. I don't think we need that. I think we can do something much smaller that can merge into other softwares in the future.
I know that, a lot of the FOIA requests and stuff can be simplified to some degree when, like, Christina is always copied in or something like that, But is there a way that we could create a Marvin account that is essentially always included in those type of communications, whether it's, like a Christina role? I know we're going to have a new Christina, at some point, but we have this other account where everything, kind of gets brought into from a communication perspective.
It works as much as it's used. So in theory, someone could reply to every email adding that account, but that's a lot of room for forgetting, a lot of room for human error. Again,
yeah,
I wouldn't
was
suggest that
thinking,
over going a software route, frankly.
Okay.
So I think you're good to move on.
Okay, all right. Let's move on then to the discussion of date for Council with Kids Fall event.
So I was emailing you all about this. We were thinking of doing November 16th. This is the event where kids come and learn about local government. We have a rental here that night, so it won't work. This taking up like the front conference room, the chambers, the community room, so different nights preferred. As far as November goes, the only 2 Mondays that don't have conflicts are the 23rd, which is the one before Thanksgiving, and the one after Thanksgiving, the 30th.
I'm free for both, so I'll make it easy for everybody.
Whichever date you all would prefer, or if you'd like to suggest a date in a different month, you could do that too.
Well, I just think the 23rd and 30th are kind of less desirable than doing it earlier in the month. Could we do it on a Tuesday?
Let me pull my calendar. I mean, I didn't even suggest Tuesday because multiple of you normally travel, and it's meant for pretty much the entire council to be there. But we
What
can.
about the 2nd?
November 2nd.
Oh, we haven't,
You have
well, we
council.
haven't.
You have council, so.
Right, okay.
You're not available.
Duh, okay. Never mind.
The 16th is a rental. We have rentals on the 9th and the 16th, so neither of those Mondays work. I would not push it into December. You're going to have way too
Right.
much stuff going on with the holidays.
How much time do we need? Could we do it before the 8 o'clock? I mean, I'm thinking.
Do it
kids
before
aren't gonna
when?
want- Right, I mean, it says rental conflicts 9th and 16th, 8:05 to 8:10? Or is that the time that you were proposing?
Let me see when those rentals are. They're in the evening, so I think they overlapped completely. Was the 9th?
Yeah, like.
Rental is from 6 to 9.
So could we do it at like 4?
I don't know how many we're going to get at 4 o'clock.
Have kids out of school yet.
Because just with, I don't know what after-school events are then. I'm thinking parents are
Okay.
working. It's 6 to 9 both, 6 to 9 both the 9th and the 16th.
All right.
I would recommend either doing around Thanksgiving, because in theory people are home, but, or moving it up into October.
When we talked about doing it, but having council that night, could we just do it like an hour early before council's meeting?
Can't, because you've got, your meeting schedule now has that meeting starting at 5, because you've reserved that hour for closed session. So I would not recommend doing it the same night.
What about Monday, October 26th?
Rental.
No. Okay.
October, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do it in October.
What about the 12th, October 12th?
Rental. I'm sorry.
So Mondays are all done, so it's got to be a different day.
Monday, October 19th is open that night here. So you could do that. You guys are here for the work session that morning.
So we could do it at 6 o'clock at night?
You could do that. That is a heavy week, just letting you know. You've got work session that morning, and you've got both Trick or Treat in the Park and Arbor Day and that next weekend. You can do it the same week. You're not
Okay.
cannibalizing your event.
Yeah.
But
Let's do the 19th then.
Yeah.
Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
okay, we will
October
do that.
Yeah.
At 6, right?
Yeah, yes, it's normally just an hour, and I normally just get cookies and juice boxes for the kids. So that's all I needed, unless anyone else has anything to say.
Okay. All right, moving on to the discussion of maintenance of Tom Short Road roundabouts and medians. I'm on my phone at the moment looking up an email I got today from, give me a minute.
You got an email from the Marvin Creek HOA asking for some assistance in the Tom Short roundabout in conjunction with what we are doing on Newtown, is essentially what that email said. The reason that the village hasn't done that in the past is because in 2023, I think my dates are right, 2025, we entered an agreement with Tullamore. It's inside of your agenda packets. There is I don't know exactly what page it is, but there's a section of that agreement, and this was an amendment to a maintenance plan, an agreement that we worked on for months with Amber Meadows and Tullamore regarding the right-of-way maintenance along Tom Short. It was primarily associated with us taking over some of the sidewalk maintenance and some of those trees being within that right-of-way. There were conversations about that strip that's not being maintained, which is, I think, what folks are talking about, in addition to the roundabout that's in front of Tullamore. So there was some conversation at the last meeting about the roundabout. What was being referred to prior to last meeting as Marvin Creek which we were talking about the Fountain roundabout, but that's not the roundabout that's being discussed. It's the one that's in front of Tullamore, which this maintenance agreement specifically applies to. And if you read the section on page 2, that says maintenance plan, it does state that all turf, plantings, irrigation, and monumentation in Tom Short right-of-way would be maintained by the HOA. So that's the reason that we have not done anything, is because the agreement was structured so that those HOAs would maintain that. Now, the standard of maintenance for, you versus me is maybe different, and that's where there's a difference of opinion now into what's, maybe the HOA is not maintaining it to current standards. Standards may be different, but maybe you can have a discussion with the HOA president and see if they're willing to do something different, or if you just want to jump in and start maintaining it. It's totally up to council. I will say, if you do start maintaining the roundabout to the standard of what's here, you're going to need to budget for some engineering dollars to negotiate a planting agreement with DOT. You're going to have to submit the planting agreement to DOT, get that approved. It'll be some back and forth, some changes that'll take place. You'll have to pay for the plants, and then you're going to have to pay for an irrigation truck to go and water those plants until they're established. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, so what this letter says is that residents have noticed village crews maintaining and beautifying the NCDOT-owned roundabouts on Newtown Road. We understand the Tom Short Road roundabout in front of Tullamore is also owned by NCDOT, yet we have not observed similar maintenance there. Could you please help us understand the difference in treatment between the Newtown Road and the Tom Short Road roundabouts? So, and that's basically because of the agreement that we have with Tullamore?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is that agreement for the roundabout in front of their house and the trees along that?
The way the agreement reads, will you take that up? Sorry.
Yeah, the agreement, and this was recent in the parties, and a lot of the consideration was the village took over sidewalks. They did not want to maintain the sidewalks. They claimed that it was a potential liability for them. Others were using them, and the village was maintaining sidewalks in most of the other areas. So the village did take over the sidewalks, but then we stated that they will maintain all the turfs and plantings and everything else along Tom Short Road and the right-of-way. So it's the deal that was struck.
Okay. So this was something that we agreed to.
It was a maintenance agreement, so it's an agreement.
Okay. Okay.
And I think you almost have to look at it, we've got subdivisions all throughout Marvin that have their own monuments or roundabouts or things like that internal within their neighborhoods. And, I think that agreement back to 2023 was really kind of an admission on their part that that's more of an internal feature, to their neighborhood. Now, it's kind of at the intersection of a couple of neighborhoods there, Marvin Creek and Tullamore. Marvin Creek, I think, continues to maintain their own one with the fountain, which was clarified. And I just think, the reason why we've taken the ones over at Newtown is because otherwise they would have just been a basically cement-covered, island that we see in many other areas of Union County. And
Yeah, the Park Rec and Greenway was instrumental in the landscaping of these. And the thought was, from a marketing perspective, is to have very nice roundabouts to help define Marvin. And that was one of the primary intents, because it's visible as people come in. It's a major thoroughfare. We have, 124,000 cars come down at a month. And, we'll be talking about that for the roundabout, probably at Waxhaw Marvin, and possibly over at Marvin Joe Carr one day.
Yeah.
But that was the reason, and they're beautiful, and you hear comments about it, and I understand their concern, but I think it's a different situation.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Open topics. I have one. Does anyone else? Okay. Based on this email debacle, I wonder if we can revisit the IP addresses on the sticky notes. Because I know we have them. You know, remember the sticky notes? And we got the IP addresses, but then we didn't investigate any of them? And I mean, some of the stuff that was written was really horrible.
It was so long ago, it's unlikely that it'll be the same IP address.
Okay,
Because they'll move around.
okay.
Different Wi-Fi connections, different
Yeah.
IP addresses.
Even if you're home, they rescope when you have them around.
Okay, that's worth a shot. All right, review of action items.
All right, so going back through, I'll be coordinating with Geraldine to get feedback from you all for the manager search. Fred is now appointed to Centralina, so congratulations. I'll notify them and make sure you have the meeting schedule. Tom, same thing for CRTPO. On the consent agenda, you approved the bid award for the STRAP grants to Anglesey, so we will move forward with a contract there. You guys approved the Houston Ross Park sign on consent, and we'll get that purchased and installed. Same thing, we're going to execute the interim manager contract. We will brief the two new planning board members on, we'll give them an orientation in the coming weeks and get them ready for the next meeting. And we'll bring back the third appointment at the work session for y'all to consider. And I think that was mostly it. And points to Lucas for taking good notes.
One thing, I'm not sure it was necessarily taken away as an action item, but getting back to, I had suggested we talk to Waxhaw or some other municipality about an interlocal agreement to get the asphalt.
I just sent them an email, so.
Okay, done.
Mark that as done.
Okay,
Cool.
Were we going to talk about Public Works? Okay. All right. All right, council comment, or review of ongoing action items.
I can pull the list up here. Is there anything on there you wanted to address?
Not me.
Not much honestly to say unless.
Okay. All right, council comments.
You always seem to start with
Fred, we're going to start with you today.
Okay.
I want to thank Christina. This is your last meeting with us. I don't know. I'll talk to you. But publicly, I want to thank you. Privately also, but publicly, thank you for your service. I didn't get to know you that long, but you made a great impression on me, and I am sure you will do phenomenal wherever you land.
Not to be redundant, but you were a huge asset to Marvin. You will be a huge asset to your new municipality. And personally, wish you the very, very best.
Well, you know how I feel after 6.5 years. I think it's your son that's going ahead and going on that Kawasaki. You bought him a Kawasaki, didn't you? Hey, when he needs lessons, give me a call, okay?
Hey, Joe, you
Yeah. Yes, I want to share the same sentiments. Christina, you've been an asset to the village for 8 years. You're highly accomplished. You have an amazing resume. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss your talent. I want to thank all of staff for putting together a fantastic letter that we did where we were communicating to the village some of the successes that we've had. And I want to thank Jill for putting together the financial information, Austin for formatting it, Christina for doing a once-over with Chaplin and just everybody that had a hand in it. I've gotten fantastic feedback from it. So that's a testament to everybody that's on the screen right now. So I want to say thanks for that. And I love the dialogue that we had on the planning board members. I think it's refreshing. I think it needs to be done. And although we still have an open seat, I love that people have passionate views and detail as to why they put their vote in for their guy or gal for the opening. So more to come on that. And sorry I couldn't be there this evening, but you guys did a great job. Thank you.
Well, I'm really sad that you're leaving. I don't know what I'm going to do without your morning phone calls. So anyway, but I wish you well in your new endeavor, and I'll probably be calling you a lot.
So I'm really excited for Christina. At the same time, being real disappointed for the Village of Marvin, because I've been fortunate to be able to serve the village in many different roles through many different iterations of councils and mayors and everything. And, you know, we've been through a lot of tumultuous times in the past. It always seems like things are worse now, you know, but they've been worse before. And Christina came to us at a time when we were really transitioning from one form of government to another, and we really needed a professional executive to guide our staff, to build our staff, and you did a tremendous job with that. And I'm confident in the fact that with all you've done and built here, a lot of that will still survive, thankfully, because you're so diligent at your job. Just looking at the board that you've left for the new guy coming in, you know, the emails that you've already shared. If things fall through the cracks, it won't be because of you, because you've really attacked this job in the last few weeks with the professionalism and just pure ambition that you've always, you know, exhibited in the past, whether it was weekends, nights, emergencies going on. Whatever it was, you were there. I hope as we look into, you know, both our interim manager who we're looking at and, you know, our full-term manager to come, I just ask staff, be patient. There's going to be some bumps in the roads. We're all going to miss her. And other than that, I'll say the rest to you personally. Thank you.
All I say is I want to go first next time. I don't want to have to follow John. There was a couple of little things I was going to bring up that I just wanted to talk about, but rather than do that and save it for later, but Christina, I just want to say thank you too. I'll miss our conversations on the way into, as I'm driving up 77 to see our TPO meeting. But really appreciate, especially as John was saying, your professionalism over the last couple of weeks has been incredible. And I think we're in as good a shape as we can be. So good luck.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I say one more thing?
Of course.
I was going to say more earlier, but honestly, I probably would have cried. So I'm going to miss you. You mean the world to me. I wouldn't be the person I am without you. So let's get lunch.
We'll keep an eye on them for you, okay?
All right, well, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, guys.
You too, Bob.